I don't know how true it is, but on the original one, they actually used like live bees on him.
What?
And he made like a deal, like he got like $1,000 for every bee sting or something like that.
Oh.
Supposedly, I didn't like fact check or anything, but I was just like, I would too.
I don't know if that's worth it. They probably assumed he died. He was like, yeah, we'll take that. Sure. Y'all got his backup?
Yeah,
Y'all got his understudy ready? Motherfucker ain't gonna live through the morning.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cynicism. I'm Eric.
It's your boy Dante, man, and today we have a very, very special guest, one of my great friends. Ange is here joining us. Hey, Ange.
One and only. Thank you for being here today with us.
We appreciate it.
About time.
Right.
100 episodes in.
Right. Today we're going to be doing a review on the new Candyman. 30 years after the original Candyman movie, we have Anthony, who is an artist, and then we have his girlfriend, Brianna, who is seemingly an art curator. He seems to be a struggling artist at this point. He once was a very prominent, promising artist, and I think he's kind of in a rut right now. He discovers the Candyman story. He goes out trying to find some information on him, ends up getting stung by a bee. After that, things start kind of spiraling out of control. He starts getting real obsessive about the Candyman story, and then goes through quite a transformation himself throughout the movie. And
like, bro, you ain't gonna get that looked at. That's what I was thinking the whole time.
I think you're allergic, bro.
The legend of Candyman seems to be becoming more than just a legend. It seems to be becoming more to life. He actually meets this guy named Bert who runs a laundromat, tells him about the legend of the Candyman that he knew, which was Sherman. He starts learning a lot about the original Candyman that was in the first movie as well.
So Anthony, played by, man, you know I can never pronounce his name.
Yaya.
Amazing actor, but I
like Yaya Abdullah or something?
Well, that's not it.
That's not?
Ain't no goddamn Abdullah.
It's not?
No, it's not Abdullah. I'm sorry.
I swear.
Wait. It's like Yaya Abdul Mateen.
There we go.
I'm sorry.
It
is an Abdul in it. You was close. You was.
This nigga said, you saw that? Abdullah? Idiot.
Living in Chicago with his girlfriend. He's kind of in a artist block, I guess. He's trying to make a piece that's going to get attention, and I guess he's just stuck in a rut right now. Been researching this Candyman story and the murders surrounding the case, and he kind of gets inspired by that. So he starts diving deeper and deeper into the story, and after he gets stung, then he gets seemingly possessed, I guess you want to say, by the Candyman.
Yeah.
This is an interesting role for him. I don't know if I've seen him like I've seen him in a villainous role before, but I don't think I've seen him in like a horror role before. After he started transforming, he got this very unsettling, like haunting characteristics to him that I haven't really seen in him before.
He did a great job in making it feel like something outer-worldly was happening to him, because he looked just as confused as we did, but it was really putting me off, man. He was very creepy in this movie. Because then it looked like he started to catch on to what was going on. It seemed like he had an agenda. When he sat down with that reporter.
Girl, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, dude, do you know what's up? And I was like, go ahead, say it. Like, I ain't saying nothing.
I definitely liked how he portrayed it. I definitely chalked this movie up more as a suspenseful movie than horror. Yeah. I remember the scene where he was in the restroom and like his wife wakes up from a nightmare and she's just looking at him like, "Oh, are you alright?" And he's just like out of it.
He didn't even respond. He just closed the door. Like, yo.
No, we gonna talk about this, bro.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The use of practical effects and like the prosthetics on him, it looked like he was like really scarred, or you could see the transformation. So I appreciated that. We don't see a whole lot of that in movies nowadays.
All the other Candyman aesthetics or whatever, that came from something actually like happening to them, whether they got like burned to death or anything like that. Well, nothing really happened to him where they attacked him all at once, and so he's just growing something on him from a bee sting. And I don't know if you caught it. So like, how he was like a struggling artist and everything. I saw it as like when he as soon as he got stung and he started getting like into Candyman. Remember the scene where like he first did Candyman painting and like he was with his hands like touching the board, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. And then it showed it, I was like, that's it. The movie progressed and like it started growing on him. He started getting more crazy. His artwork actually developed at the same time too, to where I think as he became more of a Candyman, like his art grew and got more in depth, because his last stuff was pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
I buy it.
I got some things to say about his girl too, because the way she was reacting in this movie, it seemed very delayed.
I think though she was just more like in shock. Cut back to the scene where she saw like her dad, her husband or boyfriend, and has like that writer's block, and he's out of it to where it's like probably triggering something like, oh shit.
I guess let's talk about her. Let's talk about Brianna.
Nice segue. I mean, she was just as much a victim in this movie too. They had a nice normal life at the beginning of the film, and then things just started to spiral out of control. She was trying to take care of business. She had like opportunities coming up in her life, so she was trying to balance that while simultaneously dealing with this new situation that's happening to her boyfriend.
She was like dating a loser. Like nobody respected him or nothing. She was the breadwinner in the relationship. It seemed like a lot of her friends and her family was kind of looking at him like he was beneath her.
I wonder if like her character was like that. The reason why she stuck around with Anthony in general is because she was like, since she was like traumatized from her dad, like she knows like he was struggling, so she was just like, I'm gonna help him out. But you'd think like she wouldn't want to be with an artist because like her dad was an artist and everything. It's a toxic trait right there.
That's actually a really good point, because not only was she dating an artist, but she was immersed in the art world. After something like that, you would think that maybe she'd be a teacher or something like that. But good God Almighty, her dad leaped out the. He was just like, "Yo, I'm out."
Gotta go.
Right? Was he on drugs?
I don't think so.
I hope so. I hope that wasn't normal behavior.
When she came and discovered her homeboy dead at that art gallery, who walks in a place like that where you just don't see nothing on the floor?
I hate scenes like that.
Me too. Because it's like, who does? It's blood everywhere. All you gotta do is literally look, kind of.
Yeah.
She just thumped it out, looking straight ahead. Like, who walks like that?
Yeah.
You walked in, opened the door, and see none of that. So I guess you got Bert, who is the guy that lets Anthony know about the legend of Candyman. He gives him a lot of the information about the history and the more recent occurrences of Candyman. But he also recalls a pretty interesting event when he was younger about this guy who was living in the project walls. Which,
was he living in there? Or I thought he was just hanging out in there.
No, either way, that dude seemed like he was possibly mentally challenged.
Clearly.
Okay, all right. I don't think he was aware that the cops was looking for him. That's why I said he was living in the walls.
Probably not.
I think he was living just a different life. He told him the story about that guy and then how he got wrongfully accused of being this community murderer, and then the police beat him to death. It seems like the character that Anthony is being inhabited by is that guy, because when he looked in the mirror, he saw that guy. I saw the P code. How you still dripping and you live in a wall?
It was clean.
It was clean. I'm like, you don't live in no damn wall.
Like light beige, and it was like no stain.
Yeah, right.
Man, everybody had one of them coats in the 70s.
I'm not eating no candy that you came out the wall with, bro. I hope you don't expect me to eat this shit.
Danger.
Right. This guy, he turns out to be a pretty weird guy. He's like a Candyman enthusiast, I guess. It felt like to me that he thought Candyman was a necessary evil because it was payback for a lot of the injustices that had happened to black people throughout time. So I think that's why he was, especially having witnessed that guy get beat to death.
I mean, I guess, but he's killing everybody.
You're right.
He saw like Candyman kill his sister, and there's some too where just like, why would you want that? But I get what you're saying.
Obviously, he wasn't right in the head. So this ain't going to make logical sense. But I think that's what his agenda was.
But in Candyman's defense.
What?
You're only doing it like when people like say it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's fair.
I don't know why you would want to summon something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, shit, I guess when you're a stupid ass kid. I said it as a kid, though, just to see.
I definitely did it. You know what was weird, though, about the time that I did it? Because I did it at daycare with friends, and I wasn't the one who said it. But did they tell y'all to splash water on the window, too?
Really?
I'm telling y'all this, and I mean this. There was something in that mirror. I'm dead ass serious. And I don't know if that was my kid imagination. What I interpreted as was some older kids was playing a prank on us. But the shit that really creeped me out was when we confronted them about that. Like, yeah, we know y'all was in there. They was looking at us like we was crazy. It would be like months later and be like, hey man, for real. Was y'all in there? We'd be like, dog, no. I mean, obviously it wasn't Candyman. I'm still here.
I mean,
that shit ain't real.
But it, though?
Like when I first saw that movie, I was like a child, to where the only thing I took out of it was that man's gonna kill me if I say his name.
Correct.
We're not gonna say his name. But I also had a sister that was like 6 years older than me, so she was in that teenager phase.
Mm-hmm.
So when her and her friends would be around, they'd be in the restroom doing that, and I'm just sitting on the couch like,
Right.
why? Why are we doing this?
Teens ain't worth a damn.
Right. Candyman in this movie is more of like an entity. The representation that we see is actually the one that Bert saw, which was the Candyman that he knew, the Sherman dude that got killed. But he's an incarnation of all the Candymans, and we really see that at the end of the movie. That scene was actually pretty dope too, by the way. But yeah, it was kind of interesting how they did that. I mean, he's the one that's committing the murders, but in actuality, I guess it's bigger than him. In this movie, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I interpreted it was, it's like he only operated through reflective surfaces. I don't know if he ever came out physically reflective surface. That was the only way he could kill you, from what I saw.
What about the end when he was killing all the?
Now that was different, but I think that what ended up happening in that scene, the way I looked at it was, since old boy had just died in there, I think he had took on the mantle. So since he was there, he could actually rise up and kill people. But yeah, he was actually out there. He was in the streets. I thought that was an interesting approach. How did y'all feel about that?
Throughout the whole movie, that's why I felt it was like a very suspenseful movie, because anytime I saw a mirror, I would look to see if he was going to just pop up in there and everything. Just like,
I felt like more could have been done with it, maybe, but that's just a personal opinion. But yeah, I thought it looked cool. I thought it was an interesting concept for sure.
I felt like it left something to the imagination, but once I realized that it was more of a suspense take, that's when I accepted it, because I said, okay, this isn't really, it's got horror elements, but it's not a true horror movie, because if it was, they obviously would have made that the focal point. Since they didn't, they were really trying to go more with the ambiance and that whole suspicious, creepy vibe. And I thought for that theme, it fit. In the beginning, I didn't know how to feel when he attacked them in that gallery and he was kind of moving through the projector mirrors and things like that. I thought it was really cool looking.
That's probably one of my favorite scenes.
That was one of the more well done scenes in there.
Yeah, because I don't think there was ever a scene where it actually fully showed it, except for the end, where it shows him actually like in person killing them. It's all through like mirror reflections, to where I think if you say his name, if you're the one that says his name, like you can see him.
Yeah.
But like if you're on the outside looking in and you don't know what's going on, kind of like with like the old like Freddy Krueger movies, where like you only can see him if you're asleep, but like anywhere else you walk into a room and like you see like someone getting like slammed across the ceiling and everything. Like what's going on?
It's been so long since I had seen the original film. I assumed like it was like just a slasher film, so I think I went in with that expectation. I realized, like y'all mentioned, this is more of a suspense thriller movie. Like the violence scene, they use them sparingly, to build that suspense. So once I adjusted my expectation, I saw the movie for like, I guess, the category of film that it was.
See, the original Candyman is like that too. It's really more of an atmospheric type film. Throughout it, it's really kind of building this legend up, building this character up, and then you kind of get that payoff at the end. And this movie definitely took a page out of that original Candyman movie for sure. And then especially with a lot of the talks, the underlying themes of gentrification and I guess historic black pain and things like that. That's another thing that made Candyman a more interesting character. His story actually a bit more relatable in terms of why you see why he's wreaking havoc on people. It ain't Freddy Krueger when he was like a molester or something crazy. And Jason just crazy, Michael Myers is crazy. But Candyman's like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get some revenge because y'all did me super dirty. Y'all took my hand. You know what I'm saying? And I was really upset about that. And I want all the smoke with you and your loved ones. So one of the scenes that was kind of crazy, it almost seemed like you could miss it. And that's how I knew that maybe the horror element wasn't the main focus. The scene where that reporter was getting killed, but they like panned the camera away and you just saw her dragging in the mirror. I was like, bruh, she is getting murdered. And it's like nobody cares. The twist of the movie was pretty interesting, how they tried to tie this into the original Candyman movie. I gotta say, I didn't really see that coming, but it made so much sense because they kept hinting at it throughout the movie. They kept talking so much about the original movie, and I thought it was just kind of just that in the beginning. But it was really cool that they made him be the baby that he took in the original movie. I thought that was a really cool plot point.
It took me forever to figure out that he was the baby, and I thought it was crazy how that character Bert knew that he was the baby and everything, and how they brought the mom back from the original one. Because I was trying to figure out why, in the original one, why he was after the baby in general. Aside from the reporter saying his name in the original one, he was also after her because she was telling everybody the murders are coming from the local gangbangers and everything like that, versus it actually being him. So he was upset because
Now these my murders.
and that was the whole like say my name type of thing. Also, it was just like you got to give him his power still, and so that's why he was just like, no, you're gonna believe in me. You're gonna let everybody know it's me doing this.
Right.
Yeah, it was also cool to see. Even though his face looked de-aged, but they showed Tony Todd's version of Candyman at the very end. And it was cool to see him, too. He had, like, a little one-like line, but I appreciated that they still used him at the end of the film. Because that's a Candyman everybody has always been familiar with, so it was nice to see his face.
To me, when I see Tony Todd, I automatically think of Candyman.
Right.
I thought that the last scene of this movie was probably one of my favorites, where they showed him walking across that car and it was all the Candymans throughout time. It ended on the original Candyman. He was like, tell everybody. That shit looked hard, man. Then he was covered in bees. It was really well done. That was one of the better scenes in the movie, especially from a creative aspect. For a long time watching this movie in the beginning, I was like, is there even a villain? I mean, obviously we know Candyman's the villain, but this movie kind of absent of villain in the traditional sense where the original Candyman is such a presence. He got that voice. He's such a big stature dude. This movie ain't really like that. I mean, Anthony's kind of turning into Candyman unknowingly. He's kind of really more of just a third person party. I mean, he's killing people, but he's not a character really. And I thought that was a real interesting approach. He doesn't have an identity. And I think that's on purpose because, you know, when they explain the legend, it's supposed to be representative of all these people throughout time. But in the end, still was like, man, I wish they would have actually gave him, especially when you heard him at the end and he had that voice. I was like, damn, that's what this movie was missing. If it was missing anything, it was missing that character.
How do you guys feel about, like, instead of when they would tell the stories of the other Candyman, that they use, like, the puppeteering work versus actual cutting back to the scenes?
Mixed. And I'll tell you why. I thought it was creative. It looked good. It looked good visually. I mean, I think I would have liked to see maybe just like flashback scenes or something. I mean, I'm a very visual person, so I think it would have helped me enjoy the story a little bit better. But I didn't dislike the use of the puppets. I
actually enjoyed the puppet storytelling, man. It had that old, creepy, like old-timey puppeteer look. You know, and it definitely fit the vibe of the movie. A lot of what they were saying was already done in the original movie. So I would have preferred something more imaginative than to just show flashbacks of that movie. So in place of that, I was cool with this. I found myself actually enjoying it a bit better because I felt like showing the actual footage would have been redundant. Man, these movies, it just context is everything because they'll take a wholesome song that you've heard a million times and the moment they play it in a movie like this, it is the creepiest thing. I can't hear that Candyman song by Sammy Davis Jr. I can't hear that song no more without thinking of this movie and it's creeping me out, man. The Candyman.
They be doing
Candyman.
that.
It's like, oh, God. When the movie came on like that, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, this is bad. Another thing with the intro, I thought it was real creative how everything was in reverse, like you were looking into a mirror image.
Yeah.
I thought the projector was fucked up.
Yo, let me tell you something. It's funny you say that. Because I was going to watch this on bootleg at first because I didn't want to go to the theater. And I started playing. I was like, damn, this shit backwards, man. I was like, I can't watch it like this. And then I went to another side. I was like, damn, this shit fucked up. I guess we gotta go see it in theaters. And then I saw it come on like that. And the movie did. I was like, ain't this some shit? Watch this shit.
You know, just having stuff jump out at you is not really hard to me. Hard to me is more creating that creepy atmosphere. And this movie did a great job at that. Everything from as small as the facial expressions of the characters. There's a lot of face acting in this movie. Overall, it was very entertaining. I had a good time. I was creeped the hell out at certain parts. I certainly was disgusted by that skin shit he had. Yeah. I'm going to give this a 7. I definitely think it's worth checking out. And if you've seen the original, it does a lot of throwbacks to the original movie. And I think that any fan of the originals would probably enjoy this.
I'd give this like a 7 out of 10. I recommend watching it. I liked it. I think if you go into it without the expectation of the original ones and you go with the open mind, like you'll appreciate the perspective they're throwing out there and like the direction they went with it.
These types of movies are not my favorite genre, but when they do something different or creative, I feel like I tend to enjoy them a bit more. The suspense and the build-up I think it was handled pretty well. I thought it was overall a pretty solid movie. I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 as well. I thought the acting and the performances was great. Yeah, I enjoyed it. 7 out of 10. Thank y'all for tuning into our review of Candyman. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Angie, thank you for being our special guest today. We appreciated your input. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any suggested reviews for any upcoming movies, don't forget to drop a comment below.
If you guys have seen Candyman, the new one, please let us know what you thought. How do you feel like it stacks up against the original movies? How do you feel like this movie stands up on its own? Did you like the characters, the lack of Candyman? Let us know. We appreciate your input. We appreciate y'all, man.
Thank y'all.
Peace.